Hey babes, I am Vera. In my past life, compromising in every way got me a. In the end, I still failed her. We absolutely won't put up with this kind of frustrating scumbag drama. Seeing the female lead wake up and focus on her career. Come, enough Chat, let's get started. Zhou Shengquan and I were the model couple envied by everyone in the capital. But I never imagined that on his deathbed he would say, Shang Yi gave you my whole life, and I don't regret it. If only I had accepted His Majesty's arranged marriage back then, would Shuang have lived a bit longer, if there is a next life. Shuang was the late princess's intimate name. Only then did I realize that behind the study door, I was never allowed to enter hung a painting. And the woman in the painting was none other than Rong Shuang. Written on the painting were the words, "In this life, I've been worthy of my mother, my wife, and my sovereign, but I alone have wronged you. I only wish that in the next life, I can give you a lifetime of deep devotion." In this new life, Zhou Shengquan acknowledged me as his sister. From now on, we'll address each other as siblings, and I'll protect you for a lifetime. All right, Zhou Shengquan. Then I wish you get what you want in this life. A medical clinic located in the west of the capital, with peach trees in the back courtyard, whose blossoms drift and scatter, and when the wind blows they fall into the earth and become dust. Miss, he made it. Made what? Juking ran back from outside joyfully, hurriedly pulling me out the door to see. The young master made it. And he is the top scholar too. Now you can finally be at ease. Top scholar? I blinked my eyes, still a bit dazed, unable to believe the scene before me. It wasn't a lifeless room. It was a medical clinic bustling with people, the scent of medicinal herbs wafting everywhere. I hadn't been to this place in decades. Looking at my own hands, they weren't withered and aged hands either. Fair and supple, the palms and fingertips rosy with abundant vitality. With trembling hands, I touched from the left side of my face to my chin and neck, smooth and tender. Miss, what is wrong with you? Juking's round, delicate face was full of worry. But she had clearly died in the 10th year after I married Zhou Shengquan. Her face was haggard when she died. My fingers curled up. This was rebirth. The young master must be on his way back now. I bet he'll propose to you the very day he passes the exam. The master and mistress are both waiting at home too. They must already know this good news. The young master is so amazing, top scholar. It is your good judgment. Know all the women in the capital envy you. Success in the imperial examinations. Wedding night in the bridal chamber. In my previous life, it was indeed like this. My mind in a daze, before I could even process the shock of being reborn. I was already pulled by Zhuking to the street corner. Zhou Shengquan was wearing red robes, sitting on horseback, wearing a black gauze cap. He had been granted an official position. People throughout the streets lined up to watch, the local customs simple and open. There were even women throwing flowers and handkerchiefs. It truly was the proud scene of spring breeze makes the proud horse swift. In one day viewing all the flowers of Chang'an. Zhou Shengquan accepted none of them. He had the appearance of a scholar. His looks were first, rate aloof. Yet his manner was gentle as jade, always maintaining his virtue and keeping his distance from women. Even in my previous life after we married, there was only me in the household, no other concubines. Even when women admired him, he never considered taking concubines. He was self-disciplined, upright, honest, and kept his word. This allowed me, a woman from such an ordinary family background, to be the wife of the current prime minister for many years, never having any conflicts in the inner household. Zhou Shengquan smiled and apologized to the young ladies throwing handkerchiefs. I already have a girl I like. Marriages are arranged by parents. I dare not make my own decision. Everyone laughed, saying which family had such good judgment. That today's top scholar hasn't forgotten his roots and keeps his promises. Jia Feifeng's voice was clear and bright. It is my young miss. The young master truly does like you. From now on, if you are good to Zichfei Q Fein she'll be happy. She hadn't noticed that Zhou Shengquan not far away had a slight pause in his expression. His jade, white face showing some awkwardness. I smiled faintly at Zotfei, her eyes full of joy for me as if the clouds had parted to reveal the sun. It was the same in my previous life. She married into the Zhou family with me, unwilling to marry herself, helping me manage household affairs, daily worrying and exhausting herself over those Zhou family clan members. She was only 28 years old, yet she was already worn out beyond measure. I blinked my eyes, looking at Zeifei Qufeng, who was in the prime of her life, tucking the stray hair by her temples behind her ears. Zeifei Qufeng, let's go back and wait. It is pretty crowded out here. Zeifei Qufeng obediently let me hold her hand, but before we could leave, we were jostled by many people. Turns out the top scholar had dismounted and was walking this way, and the crowd made way for him. Somebody muttered, "He is not even that good looking. Whose young lady is that? Why is she dressed so plainly?" Jafeu Shakfeng Kufeyan stepped forward, his eyes dark as ink looking at me, and my heart trembled slightly. The last time we met, we were both already old and frail. It clearly hadn't been that long. Yet, it felt like ages. Jia Fei Feng, young master Jia Fei, you here to propose marriage? Her voice was lively and cheerful, and I couldn't stop her in time. Jia Fei Shafenu Shak looked troubled. Miss W. Fade N. I don't think we ever explicitly discussed marriage. I am also very grateful for the care you and your uncle and aunt have given me all these years. This is 1,000 taels of gold bestowed by His Majesty. This 1,000 taels of gold can definitely ensure you and your uncle and aunt live very well. I've never forgotten the Wen family's kindness in keeping me fed and warm. In the future, my expression turned bitter. My grip on Zot Feifein's hand stiffened, and some people in the surrounding crowd let out mocking laughter. So she tried to leverage kindness for repayment, offered herself up, got all delusional, and acted like she was his wife. Juking had a fiery and straightforward temperament. Hearing these words, she understood that Zhou Shengquan was making me lose face and trying to weasel out of breaking off the engagement. Screw your future, Zhou Shengquan! You ungrateful bastard, unworthy of being the top scholar! Zhou Shengquan and I have known each other since we were very young. We both grew up in Jingling. He and his mother depended on each other. Zhou's father was one of the few scholars in the village, but he died early. The mother and son couldn't survive in their home, so the two of them left a village under Jiangling County. My family was doing pretty well in Jiangling. We had a medical clinic left by my grandfather. My father wasn't good at medicine, but I liked it. Later I persuaded my father to open a restaurant, and the income was quite considerable. At first, Zhou Shengquan worked as a helper in my family's clinic, running around helping out. But my father, seeing that Zhou Shengquan could read and do math, had him work as an apprentice under him. His family was poor, but his background was clean enough. Me father and mother felt sorry for his family's difficulties, and took extra care of him in many matters. Zhou's mother was also taken into our household by my parents, so they could help him out a bit. I wonder if you remember that essay preface to Seeing Off Student Am of Dongyang. Zhou Shengquan was just like that. He had no money, but he loved reading and understood the principles in books. During the day he worked in the shop, and at night, he copied books for others. At night, the small figure lit by a flickering little lamp was truly pitiable. I saw that he was diligent, hardworking, and exceptionally intelligent, able to write essays, so I begged father to let him attend school together with me. I was older than him, and in daily life I also acted like a big sister protecting him. He was thin, dressed plainly, but was often praised by the teacher. He wasn't good with words and didn't gather with others. At the same time, this also made him disliked by people at the school. One day I saw him covered in dirt, his school uniform kicked with several footprints, the sleeves torn and deformed by people pulling at them, even tattered. I was the one who had advanced him the money for this school uniform. He blushed with shame over this copied books day and night, helped people hawk goods on the street, and only managed to pay back the money in full after receiving his monthly wages at the end of the month. I got angry for a moment, furious. I'd always been mild, tempered, and easy to talk to. People at the school had never seen me charge in with a stick and teach those bullies a lesson. Zhou Shengquan was protected behind me. I said, "Shengquan, from now on, whoever gives you attitude, whoever bullies you, I'll stand up for you." Mouths aren't just for eating and talking. They can also be used to report bullies. Zhou Shengquan's eyes brimmed with tears then, holding my hand. "Sister Xiangyi, I'll definitely become amazing in the future and give you a better life." I nodded and said I believed him. I believe in Shengquan. Spring passed and autumn came. Peaches ripened and blossomed again. Zhou Shengquan indeed became amazing, achieving Sanyuan in the imperial examinations. Mother Zhou also liked me, and when he passed the imperial examination as top scholar, he proposed to me on our wedding day. Even Princess Zhaohua, the emperor's most favored daughter, came. Later I learned that after he entered the Hanlin Academy, Her Highness the Princess became quite fond of him. Rong Shuangshuang, who had always been arrogant and domineering, retracted her claws in front of him and learned to be gentle too. Princess Zhaohua went to the Hanlin Academy every day, always bringing things with her, either pastries she made herself, or embroidered pouches she personally sewed. I knew nothing about any of this. Eventually, she even asked His Majesty to grant them a marriage. Zhou Shengquan openly refused in the Great Hall, saying, "I already have a wife at home. Who is this humble subject's benefactor? The princess is of noble birth and exalted status, but forgive me, my status is too lowly and I fear we would be ill-matched." I was very happy hearing this, and everyone in the capital praised him. At that time I didn't yet know that Zhou Shengquan's heart had begun to waver. Speaking of my past life, I suppose when he refused the marriage grant with the princess, he never imagined his path to success would be so difficult. Zhou Shengquan entered the official world and needed connections, but I had never learned such things. I had studied medicine since childhood, and only half understood matters of the official world. So I closed the medical clinic and opened a shop instead, selling everything from rouge and powder to silk and satin. Although we had enough money, the two of us had no connections whatsoever. In the official world, we inevitably faced cold stares from others. Zhou Shengquan wasn't good with words either, often feeling frustrated. So I comforted him, and whenever I had time, I'd go to banquets held by noble ladies and madams, or visit others, to increase the Zhou family's visibility. Later, the Zhou family became wealthier and wealthier, and Zhou Shengquan's career path became smoother and smoother. Yet he sighed many times, saying how difficult his official career path was. There was even one time when he was drunk in his study, and when I brought him sobering soup, I saw the words on his desk. "Sorrow wells up from within, regrets abound." That was when Rong Shuangshuang had promoted some minor official with just one word. Later, Rong Shuangshuang passed away, supposedly dying of melancholy. His Majesty, in deep pain and sorrow, gave her a grand burial according to Empress protocols. During the national mourning period, Zhou Shengquan went to Hanshan Temple outside the capital and didn't return for several nights. Hanshan Temple was famous for granting prayers. In front of the temple were 99 steps, which required kneeling at every step and kowtowing every 2 steps. Only after reaching the temple could one's wishes be heard by the heavens. I didn't take this matter to heart, or rather, I didn't have time to take it to heart. At that time, I was managing household affairs, and the matters involving shop transfers were complicated. With Zhou Shengquan becoming prime minister, I couldn't frequently show my face coming and going from the residence, so I busied myself socializing with the nobles of the capital. I wanted Zhou Shengquan to have no worries in his official career. He didn't disappoint me either. I was the only one in the rear courtyard of the residence, and at banquets we were a loving couple. In the eyes of others, We were so happy as if there were no flaws. But before he left, he said, Shangyi, he gave you my entire life, and I don't regret it. If I had accepted His Majesty's arranged marriage back then, would Shuang have lived a little longer? If there is a next life. If there is a next life. What then? He lay on the bed, his voice so faint I couldn't hear clearly. But when I was sorting through his belongings, I actually discovered, behind the study he wouldn't let me enter, there was a painting, and the woman in it was none other than Rong Shuang. Written on the painting were the words, in this life I've done right by my mother, my wife and my sovereign, but I alone have wronged you. I only wish that in the next life I can give you a lifetime of deep affection. Zhou Shengquan, you rejected His Majesty's arranged marriage and didn't end up with the princess. You regret it now, don't you? Thinking back now, everything from before was Zhou Shengquan's regret. When Her Highness the Princess promoted that minor official, he felt bitter inside. So he got drunk. When Her Highness the Princess passed away, he went to Hanshan Temple. What he prayed for must have been to continue their past connection in this life. In the previous life, I had no regrets. I thought you felt the same. Turns out I was just using a favor to demand repayment. And it was only Mother Zhou's pressure. Bound by gratitude, bound by filial duty, Zhou Shengquan only married me. I froze for a moment, Zhou Shengquan's face clearly imprinted before my eyes. Only then did I realize Zhou Shengquan had been reborn too. He didn't want to live that kind of life anymore. He wanted to live a different life, the Zhou household. You bastard. Say that again. You said you won't marry Shangyi? Mother Zhou's tone was severe. What do you think Shangyi has been waiting for you all these years for? Isn't it because you said you'd establish your career before starting a family? Back then, you kept saying that after you succeeded, you'd give Shangyi a good life, that you'd protect her for life. Now you are saying you won't marry her. What is she supposed to do? Mother Zhou sat down, closed her eyes for a moment, her voice still as gentle as always, yet revealing confusion and reproach. You've been clinging to her since you were little. You think I didn't know? But I am your mother. I know my own son better than anyone. I know you've been a quiet child since young, but brilliant when it comes to studying. Back when your father was still alive, he said you'd have great prospects, so I didn't dare neglect your education. I was afraid I'd ruin your future, so I brought you away from the village to here. The moment you saw Shangyi, you were smitten. Working as an assistant at the clinic, you were always busy around her, following behind her whatever she said went, always putting her words first. Do you still remember when she was scared by a yellow dog and couldn't sleep for nights on end? You were frantic, more worried than even her own parents. Mother Zhou found this memory amusing, climbing to her window in the middle of the night to keep her company and talk. Mother Zhou saw it all clearly, but she never said anything about it. Now that Zhou Shengquan has achieved the top position in the imperial examination, he is about to break his promise. How can she maintain her dignity in the Wen family? Mother Zhou Shengquan, Wen cannot be ungrateful and treacherous. Zhou Shengquan frowned. He remembered everything from the past, but in his heart he didn't think it was love. At most it was just deep childhood affection. It didn't amount to much. Mother, marriage cannot be forced. He believed his mother simply didn't understand that being with Wen Shangyi in the future would just be like living with a relative. He recalled his previous life, when he and Wen Shangyi indeed treated each other with courtesy for their entire lives. But that kind of life was too difficult to endure, too mediocre, too ordinary. After a night passed, Mother Zhou asked him again. Zhou Shengquan, I am asking you, have you truly decided not to marry Shangyi? No matter how good other women are, they can't compare to her. Zhou Shengquan, I've truly made up my mind. Fine, there will be absolutely no room for regret later. Zhou Shengquan, Mother, I won't regret the decision I've made. Just like in his previous life when he married Wen Shangyi, despite having many regrets, he didn't regret it. Zhou Shengquan ignored the strange feeling in his chest. In this life, he was just waiting for His Majesty to bestow the marriage. I've wronged Shangyi, uncle. Aunt here is 1,000 taels of gold. I'll continue to protect Shangyi in the future, treating her only as an older sister. I can even see her off at her wedding. What nonsense are you spouting? You've let down my elder sister and you want to just move on. I heard the voices from the front hall and quickened my pace. My younger brother Wen Siyuan was a martial artist by nature, hot-tempered and straightforward. Last night when he heard about what happened to me, he nearly rushed to the Zhou family to confront them. Offending a court official is a serious crime. Although Wen Siyuan was younger than Zhou Shengquan, he had considerable strength. He rushed forward and started shoving Zhou Shengquan, and no one could hold him back. You scholars really know how to twist the truth. What childhood affection? What not understanding anything? I think you understand perfectly well. You delayed my sister, and now you are acting all high and mighty saying, you can solve everything with money. Dream on! My mother, Zhou Shengquan, you say you never explicitly discussed marriage with Xiang Yi, but was all your affection in the past fake? My father, I let you stay with Xiang Yi back then because I thought you were honest. Never imagined you'd also be this slippery and cunning summoning, who'd abandon his wife who shared his hardships. Bah, Zhou Shengquan, I am not an ungrateful person. I also consider the Wen family as my own family. I know the debt I owe to the Wen family. From now on, Wen Shangyi will be like a sister to me. Fine, I agree. Zhou Shengquan, since this is what you want, then I'll grant your wish. You want to change your life, then I'll change how I live too. I walked in without sparing him a glance, pulling my parents over to sit down. Father, mother, don't be angry. I already thought this through yesterday. Siyuan, you've pushed him and vented your anger. From now on, you must not be impulsive and reckless. Zhou Shengquan is now a court official. Do you still want to fight on the battlefield or not? Seeing that I appeared unaffected, my parents became even more worried. Shang Yi. Zhou Shengquan's expression froze slightly, his clothes somewhat disheveled, his appearance a bit wretched. Apart from a long time ago when he would get bullied, in his decades in officialdom since then, he had never been this wretched. This is truly bizarre. I actually saw grievance in Zhou Shengquan's eyes when he looked at me. Zhou Shengquan, since both families are here, and we're not strangers to each other, I'll accept these 1,000 taels of gold, whether you want to treat me as a sister or a benefactor. However, I won't treat you as a younger brother. I have a younger brother, and I don't need you to carry me out for my wedding. Siyuan is plenty strong. I said this meaningfully, glancing at Wen Siyuan. Wen Siyuan raised his chin, proud and smug. This matter isn't complicated either. It is just childhood banter, not to be taken seriously. The 1,000 taels of gold can be considered repayment for saving you. You should go back now. Zhou Shengquan's expression froze slightly, momentarily not understanding why I would agree so easily. Seeing they hadn't left yet, I smiled. Surely Lord Zhou isn't reluctant to part with the gold? He paused, then squeezed out 2 words through gritted teeth. Number I had asked him before why he didn't call me elder sister. At time, Zhou Shengquan had already grown into a young man. His hair was tied with a blue hair ribbon. It should have been a time of youthful exuberance, but he rarely smiled. Only when he saw me would his facial expressions become a bit more animated. So I teased him. Shengquan, do you hate me? Zhou Shengquan's pupils trembled slightly, showing a look of helplessness. His ears turned bright red as he stammered. No, I would never hate you, Xiang Yi. All right, I am just teasing you. Suddenly, he became serious. Miss Wen. I, Zhou Shengquan, am fond of you. In the future, when I've achieved success in the imperial examinations, I will definitely come to marry you. At that time, peach blossoms were falling profusely, and the pink petals blurred my vision. I smiled and answered him. Okay. So I waited for him to achieve success in the examinations, waited until I was 20 years old. Now he says he didn't understand feelings back then, that he should have treated me as a sister. but confused familial love with romantic love. Turns out his feelings for me had always been only those between siblings. Mother Joe wanted to say something more, but I walked over and said, "Auntie, children to parents are like a person's legs and arms. The arm can't twist past the thigh. You are the same. You can't make Zhou Shengquan change his mind. Since that is the case, why make things ugly?" After they left, my parents asked me if I'd really let it go. I nodded. "Mom, Dad, I know you are worried about my marriage, but now we have a lot of money. Even if we don't work or eat from now on, we can still live very well. Besides, who knows? There might be a good marriage prospect. And anyway, you are all so eager to marry me off. Are you sick of me?" My mother: "What are you saying? Your father and I are beyond happy to have you at home. We may not have many other skills, but supporting you is nothing." My father: "That is right. Don't overthink it. From now on, just focus on treating patients at the clinic, studying medicine, and doing what you love. It is best that we cut ties with the Zhou family." Wen Siyuan thought for a moment. "I'd like to see how he handles this later." I smiled faintly, lightly patting his head, when something suddenly came to mind. I told Zhu King to return everything in the room to Zhou Shengquan. What I didn't know was, Zhou Shengquan hadn't gone far yet. His heart trembled slightly as he stepped over the Wen family's threshold, and only then did it feel real. But there was a piercing pain of separation in his chest, and his mind was dazed for a few moments. How could it be so easy? Wen Xiangyi actually didn't cling to him, didn't cry, didn't make a scene. The Wen family was just like her, simply taking the money, and that was it. Hearing Zhu Qing's voice, his eyes finally focused. He had thought that since Wen Xiangyi liked him so much, since she valued their relationship so deeply, it couldn't be possible that she would. "Lord Zhou, this hairpin is being returned to you." Zhu Qing glared at him angrily, bowed to Zhou's mother, then forcefully flung the wooden hairpin in her hand at Zhou Shengquan. Miss said, "Since things are over, anything that shouldn't be kept should be returned." Zhou Shengquan's brows furrowed tightly, the hairpin fell from his body, and he failed to catch it. The wooden hairpin broke directly on the ground, snapping into two pieces. The crisp sound of the wooden hairpin hitting the ground entered Zhou Shengquan's ears. He crouched down to pick up the two pieces of the wooden hairpin. "She has even returned this." His voice was faint, as if speaking to Zhu King, but even more so as if speaking to himself. "This wooden hairpin was carved for me by Zhou Shengquan, a gift for my coming-of-age ceremony. I wore it for a lifetime in my previous life. When not wearing it, I would carefully store it in a box, binding our hair as husband and wife, loving each other without doubt. Now that I've returned the hairpin to him, this matter can finally be considered settled." Zhou Shengquan was in a daze, gripping the wooden hairpin in his palm. Mother Zhou glanced at him and left with a sigh. "Miss, something's happened!" Zhu King came running over in a hurry. "Somebody's causing trouble at the clinic. It is that young master he from before. He Shangyan. Yes, he is making a scene at the clinic entrance, saying you are now an old maid that no one wants, and that you are incompetent at treating illness. Right now there are people crowding at the clinic entrance ruining your reputation." Only then did I remember this character. He Shangyan was originally one of my patients. After recovering from his illness, he showed interest in me. I told him I was already betrothed, and he became resentful. "Isn't he just a poor scholar? What kind of life can he give you? A poor scholar making you live a poor life with him? When Shangyi, if you follow me, what good things can't you eat? Why would you still need to work at a medical clinic?" Latter, since I really ignored him and Siyuan stayed by my side every day. He gave up. How come now his old habits are resurfacing, and even getting worse? There was no such thing in my previous life. Perhaps my rebirth has stirred up changes. I sat in front of the mirror, touched the left side of my cheek, and had a guess in my heart. When I arrived, the situation had only gotten more serious, with many people gathered around the entrance. It is my 10-year-old son who came here for treatment. Once he got home, He vomited so badly he was completely out of it. It was totally useless. And now he is still lying in bed. I think they're just quacks. A woman with a small child. The boy was lying on a straw mat, his face pale and weak, looking extremely frail. The woman was lying on the ground, crying and wailing. Onlookers saw this and cursed one after another. What kind of medical clinic is this? What kind of doctor? The clinic's assistant hurried forward to check, but was pushed away by someone. Get out of the way, who knows what you are up to, trying to make the child even worse. I saw He Shangyan standing at the entrance loudly accusing. Smash it all for me. You people actually dare to take medicine from someone like this. You actually trust someone like this to treat you. I had a stomachache before, got several doses of medicine here, and it never got better. Then I went to see another doctor and found out they did it on purpose, prescribing you extra medicine to charge you more money. Someone exclaimed loudly in surprise. Isn't this the Miss Wen who claimed to be engaged to the top scholar that day? Turns out she is a con artist, specially scamming us common folk for money. Someone who had never come here for treatment said, what is a young lady doing showing her face in public like this? Absolutely corrupting public morals, claiming to be the top scholar's wife. She doesn't even look at what kind of person she is. Now she has even caused a death. That can't be right. The medicines at Fengchun Medical Clinic are all very good, and the prices are affordable. Dr. Wen inside speaks nicely. My family is poor, and she treated me before without charging money. The medicine cured my illness right away. That is just to trick you. You probably weren't even sick at all. Those speaking up for Fengchun Medical Clinic tried to argue back, but were scolded in return. Everyone, I am the doctor at Fengchun Medical Clinic. I've been treating people here for quite some time now. How many people have been cured? You can all go verify that. About today's commotion, I know you all want to know the truth of the matter. Everything will be decided by the authorities. But right now this child's condition is what is most important. Fortunately, not everyone believed everything they heard, and the crowd quieted down. I said, let me take a look first. If something happens to the child, no one can bear the responsibility. The woman suddenly stood up. This is all your fault. I am not done with you. He Shangyan took advantage of the chaos to get close to me. Own hand gripping my wrist tightly. You've been abandoned by that guy surnamed Joe. He is heartless. You might as well be with me instead. That guy surnamed Joe won't protect you now. I frowned, unable to break free. Young master he, please let go. Zhou Shengquan's voice came through, as he pulled He Shangyan away, and asked if I was all right. I temporarily breathed a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to turn around to check on the child, guards separated the crowd. Oh my, so lively here? It was the second young master of the Duke Zhengguo's household, Shen Tianshu. Previously, I had treated the old madam of Duke Zhengguo for an illness. The old lady was grateful to me, and had even mentioned wanting to recognize me as her granddaughter. Make way, can't you see our Dr. Wen needs to treat a patient? Shen Tianshu was a famous dandy in the capital, always flamboyant and unrestrained. Do you all know that this Dr. Wen has treated our old madam? Her medical skills are divine and miraculous, bringing the dying back to life. Those who look down on her are looking down on my family's old madam's judgment. Aren't they? Shen Tianshu, dressed in luxurious clothing, had guards maintain order. He pulled someone over and said, this is Dr. Yan, yes? That renowned doctor known throughout the land. If you don't trust Dr. Wen's medical skills, you can have this Dr. Yan verify them. Also, I've already reported this to the authorities. No one causing trouble today is leaving. I was stunned for a moment, not expecting the Shen family to send someone, and so promptly and thoroughly at that. Thank you, second young master. Shen Tianshu winked at me. It was my elder brother's idea. Shen Chinian? I nodded somewhat hesitantly. After examining the patient's condition, I frowned slightly. Has he eaten anything? The woman's eyes flickered, stammering. He has eaten. He has been sick these past few days. I've been letting him eat the good stuff. Shanger and I eat his leftovers. My gaze swept over her for a moment, and she grew uneasy. After whispering a few words to Juking, he said, "The child is fine. It is just a reaction to the medication. Let the child stay here for observation for a few days." Juking immediately stepped forward to block the woman. The woman still tried to struggle and curse at me, but Juking sternly shouted her down. "Shut up! How dare you slander peoples! Speak up! Where did this child really come from? You are involved in a child abduction case. I am turning you over to the authorities right now." The woman was completely suppressed by Juking trembling. "I'll talk. I'll talk." Shen Tianshu on the side watched Juking's entire series of actions, his heart pounding with alarm. I looked at He Shangyan, who was being blocked by the guards, and said, "Young master I don't care who conspired with you. You brought people to smash my shop and tarnish my reputation. I will not let this matter rest." He Shangyan didn't have the guts to openly cause trouble in the capital. Even the fact that Zhou Shengquan was on good terms with my family was known to everyone. Zhou Shengquan hadn't taken sides yet, and no one would antagonize the newly appointed top scholar. However, no, I am going to send all these people to the authorities. Zhou Shengquan at the side pulled me back and said, "Shang Yi, you've seen it yourself. Your reputation was indeed affected because of me. I will take responsibility." I said leisurely, "May I ask how Lord Zhou intends to take responsibility?" "Once I marry my legitimate wife, I'll bring you into the household. After he marries the princess, bring me in as a concubine." My heart skipped a beat. "Zhou Shengquan, how can you say such outrageous things? I really misjudged you before." My expression turned cold. "Zhou Shengquan, don't come here anymore. Or when family's temple is too small to accommodate a great Buddha like you, especially the people around you. Zhou Shengquan Shangyi, you are already 20. Who else would marry you now? Who says no one will marry her? This young master is willing." Shen Tianshu suddenly popped up beside us, perked up his ears to listen, then loudly objected and squeezed himself between me and Zhou Shengquan. He said with a grin, "My brother isn't married yet. My brother is willing. He is totally willing." Zhou Shengquan frowned. "Second young master Shen, you'd better not say such things. Everyone knows Grand Tutor Shen has no interest in marriage." Shen Tianshu looked at him. "What is it to you? Get lost." He pushed Zhou Shengquan away, then had the guards take him away. "Didn't you hear that Dr. Wen doesn't like you? Still being an eyesore here. Miss Xiang Yi, you could tell at first glance this Zhou Shengquan is no good guy. His looks can't compare to my brother, and his character is even worse. He is totally not good enough for you." I found it amusing and asked, "Then may I ask young Master Shen, who is good enough for me?" "Of course it is my big brother." He blurted out, "Look, my brother's pretty decent, right? He is definitely a catch. Though people in the capital say he is cold and unapproachable, that is all just a misunderstanding. My brother, an older single guy, good, looking, excellent official position, capable, and from a good family. What do you think?" I rubbed my forehead. "Does Shen Chinian know his younger brother is going around promoting his marriage prospects? How does the Grand Tutor know about my situation, and even send someone over? Isn't he out of the capital recently? Shen Tianshu? Well, it is just a coincidence. I was hanging around here, and then I heard them talking about it. So, oh right. Take this. If you run into any trouble, just show it. I've got other things to do, so I am leaving now." He put the item down and left. I looked at it. It was an imperially bestowed jade pendant with the character you carved on it. An imperially bestowed item. For my protection. I looked up at the roof. There should be someone up there. Sent by the Duke Protector's manor, or by Shen Chinian protection or surveillance? Honestly, surveillance isn't very likely. If it is protection, then my feeling from my past life was right. Shen Chinian has feelings for me. But how could that be? We've never had much interaction, except for those days when I treated the old madam and stayed briefly at the Duke Protector's manor. Shanghai is a meticulous person who showed exceptional talent from a young age and was known as a genius. Later, at 16, he became the top scholar in the imperial examination, entered the cabinet, was appointed minister of the Court of Judicial Review, and now at 28, serves as grand tutor to the crown prince, still unmarried. In my previous life when I got married, he did send an extra grand gift, houses, shops, and land included. At the time, I thought the Duke of Zhengguo's manor was indeed wealthy. Our next interaction was when I sold my medical clinic to him, and he took over the management. At my first child's 1-year celebration, he sent a gift, then went to the border and never returned to the capital, remaining unmarried for life. I won't flatter myself into thinking it was for me. However, every year the Duke of Zhengguo's manor would send a generous gift whenever the Zhou family held a banquet. In my previous life, the Duke of Zhengguo's manor paved many steps on Zhou Shengquan's path to success. Ever since I accepted that jade pendant, I've been constantly receiving gifts from Shen Qinian. They're all ordinary little trinkets, nothing more to them. Either food or jewelry. Before I could figure out his intentions, Princess Zhaohua sent me an invitation. The princess's birthday is coming up soon. No, it is different from my previous life. His Majesty doesn't plan to bestow the princess in marriage to Zhou Shengquan. I only learned later that Shen Qinian, while far away suppressing bandits, mentioned Zhou Shengquan in a memorial he submitted, breaking his word. Character still needs examination. Weak-willed, reliability uncertain. Someone insignificant like me shouldn't attend the princess's banquet. But constantly avoiding isn't a solution either. Besides, I can't refuse the princess's invitation. Moreover, I gripped the jade pendant. In my previous life she caused me harm. This time I should return the favor a bit. In my previous life, it was also at the princess's banquet that she openly had someone injure my face. She said. I thought it was some kind of seductress who captured the top scholar's heart. Turns out it is nothing special. I heard your medical skills are superb. So let's see if you can heal yourself. After saying that, she had someone leave a deep scar on the left side of my face, extending from my cheek to my chin. No matter how I treated it, it could never fully recover. Although Zhou Shengquan felt sorry for me, there was nothing he could do. He just told me to endure it. He told me not to provoke her anymore. Later, I heard that the princess was taught a lesson at the princess's manor. It was said that a mark was also left on the side of her face, and she even knelt in the ancestral hall for several days and nights. However, whether this kind of thing was true or not remained unknown. Anyway, after that incident in my previous life, I never saw the princess again. I sat at the very back of the banquet, listening to them discuss me, this uninvited guest. The princess actually gave her the honor of letting her come. I heard this is the fiancé of that newly appointed top scholar. How pitiful. Who doesn't know the princess likes Zhou Shengquan? This is to knock Zhou Shengquan down a peg and give Wen Shangyi a warning. I think men in this world are mostly fickle, youthful affection, childhood sweethearts. None of it counts for anything. Sheik, keep your voice down. It is the princess's birthday, walls have ears. Listening to this, I found it amusing. Zhou Shengquan's reputation was different from what I had imagined. That is right. In my previous life it was because he never took a concubine for many years. Unlike other men, suddenly, during the banquet I saw the princess whispering briefly with the maidservant beside her, and then someone accidentally spilled wine on me. My eyes met with that princess sitting on the platform for a moment, and I understood what was going on. So I followed the wine, pouring maidservant to a back room to change clothes. Miss Wen, it is right here. Please change first. I'll step out. I nodded, watching her leave. After the door was closed, I surveyed my surroundings. The incense burning in the room, and the bedding all had problems. I remained composed, didn't extinguish them, covered my nose and mouth with a handkerchief containing the antidote, and opened the cabinet. Inside was none other than Zhou Shengquan. Zhou Shengquan said I would grant your wish. However, in what form and by what means, that is for me to decide. Before long I had already left through the door, watching several people outside the room. Is it done? It is done. Your Highness the Princess? She is already inside. Go call He Shangyan over. I blinked, hiding in the shadows and swiftly subduing the maidservants by the princess's side. The two quietly collapsed. I hadn't yet made my move on the princess when I saw a sword flick up Rong Shuang's earring from the air. With a ding-dang sound, the earring fell to the ground. Then, with one move, that person subdued Rong Shuang. The blade swept past the left side of Rong Shuang's face, leaving a shallow red mark. I looked over, my eyelashes trembling slightly, unable to help clicking my tongue. Lord Shen? The thumping frequency at my chest pounded against my eardrums. It was him. The one who could point a sword at the princess without punishment was Shen Chinian. He acknowledged with a sound, his other hand tossing a black ball onto the ground. Only then did I realize he had dragged He Shangnan over. Do whatever you want with him. I opened my mouth, not knowing what to say. Thank you. This is kinda awkward. After a short while, someone set a fire behind this room, so all the people at the banquet came over. Among the crowd, I watched as Zhou Shengquan and the princess were caught by everyone in a private tryst. The noble ladies turned their faces away one after another. No one had expected to witness such a spectacle involving the princess at the princess's own residence. This is completely improper, absolutely outrageous. Finally, someone came to take charge of the situation, and I left as well. Why did you still come to Rong Shuang's birthday banquet? The jade pendant I gave you could have let you decline. Before even reaching the carriage, Shen Chinian's voice reached my ears. I looked over, momentarily stunned by his words. Shen Chinian was extremely good. Looking, with sword, like brows and deep dark eyes, clear, cut facial features, and an imposing bearing. He didn't smile often, which made him look quite intimidating, but his posture was upright, and he was still wearing his official robes, travel, worn and dusty. Yet he showed not the slightest sign of haggardness or weakness, his entire being exuding an air of upright integrity. What about you, my lord? Why did you also rush here to attend the princess's birthday? Specifically for the princess? Shen Chinian chuckled lightly. Who I am doing this for, don't you know? I didn't expect him to be so direct. All right, go back. I won't let you get dragged into today's matter. Zhaohua will bear the consequences of her own actions. Shen Chinian looked at me. Miss Wen, those who wronged you, I'll make them all pay the price. I lowered my eyes, avoiding his gaze. Walking to the carriage, he very naturally offered his hand to help me board. Me. Can't make things awkward for him. By the way. Just as I pulled back the curtain, I turned my head back. If next time you want to do something risky, you can call me to come with you. Okay? In the previous life, Shang Yi's face was hurt by the princess, and that coward Zhou Shengquan would only say, just bear with it, don't provoke her. Then turn around and hang the princess's portrait in his study to cherish her memory. In this life, Shen Chinian rushed over through wind and dust, directly got justice for her, and earnestly asked, can you bring me along next time there is danger? And did everyone notice? Shen Chinian doesn't even ask why were you here taking risks? He only cares about who wronged you. I'll make them pay the price. This is top-tier emotional value. In comparison, a scumbag will still be a scumbag even after 100 rebirths. Lord Shen's straightforward protectiveness is what truly loving someone looks like. Although the scandalous affair between the princess and the newly appointed top scholar was hushed up, there is no wall that doesn't let the wind through. This matter still spread like wildfire. His Majesty finally decided on a certain day to bestow the marriage between Rong Shuang and Zhou Shengquan. Before this happened, Zhou Shengquan was also sued by my family. Forgot to mention, my mother is a feisty woman. Nobody within 10 miles can out. Curse her. Me father is a brute of a man who looks intimidating. Just standing there is enough to scare people. That day when I was nearly ruined by rumors, my parents stood guard at Fengshan Medical Hall. Whoever dared to curse me, one would scare them and the other would curse them out. Me younger brother would join in whenever he had time, specifically to argue with them. Later, when they found out about the princess and Zhou Shengquan's scandalous affair, they directly filed a complaint with the authorities, publicizing how the princess bullied common people and smashed up the medical hall. Zhou Shengquan came to see me once a few days after his engagement. His expression was quite panicked, and the words he spoke were puzzling, as if afraid I would misunderstand. Shangyi, that day I absolutely didn't mean it that way. I don't even know how the princess and I ended up in. He found it hard to say, his brows tightly furrowed. Don't know. I let out a cold laugh. Zhou Shengquan, you won't even admit what you did yourself. I thought you just didn't keep your promises. But I didn't expect you'd now make excuses and refuse to admit what you've done. Didn't you refuse to marry me back then because you wanted to be with the princess? What are you pretending now? Zhou Shengquan wanted to say something more, but was choked by what I said. He looked at my indifferent face, regarding his marriage to the princess. I hadn't shown the slightest bit of sadness on my face. Zhou Shengquan lowered his long lashes and said, Shangyi, do you not care about my marriage at all? I cut off what he was about to say. Zhou Shengquan, don't come looking for me anymore. There is nothing left to say between us. Whoever you want to be with, it has nothing to do with me whatsoever. I didn't look at him again and turned to leave. Zhou Shengquan's fingertips hidden beneath his official robes trembled lightly. His eyelashes quivered slightly, and the hand he reached out was withdrawn. Juking saw more clearly than anyone that Zhou Shengquan did care about Miss. And even every decision he made, everything he did, he was hoping Miss would care and approve. But Juking hated this kind of Zhou Shengquan even more. Juking stepped forward with a smile and said, Lord Zhou, this shouldn't be my place to say, but I am going to say it anyway. You know better than I what kind of person Miss is, decisive and intelligent. Since you two have broken things off now, then don't come around anymore saying such ambiguous things. The Wen and Zhou families are indeed still on good terms, but I think you also understand that Miss is the last person you should be coming to see. Juking grew up together with Wen Shangyi. She had seen Zhou Shengquan when he was down and out, seen the tenderness filling Zhou Shengquan's eyes when he looked at the young Miss, and even more so seen how happy Zhou Shengquan was when he received praise and encouragement from the young Miss. Recently, my family hasn't been restricting discussions about my marriage either. From when I came of age until now, my family has been thinking of directly arranging my marriage with Zhou Shengquan, so they turned away all the eligible men who intended to come and form marriage ties. This day, Shen Qinyan actually came to the clinic to find me. He held a box in his hand. Inside was a gold and jade hairpin, adorned with pink peach blossoms. The peach blossoms from the back courtyard drifted down, blending with the peach blossoms on the hairpin. Shen Qinyan stood tall and elegant. Miss Wen, I heard you plan to meet potential matches. I am interested in you, and if you are willing too, I'll go to the Wen family to propose marriage right away. My eyes flickered for a moment, and I smiled. What if I am not willing? Then you'll marry someone else? No then. I'll wait until you marry and have children, and then I'll stop waiting. Shen Qinyan's tone was very casual, saying this sentence as if he were talking about what to eat today. Instead, I was the one who froze. In my previous life, he left the capital during my first child's one-year celebration and never came back. Shen Qinyan, go to my house tomorrow to propose marriage. His lips curved slightly upward. What did you say? If you can't hear it, then forget it. I took the box away, turned around and smiled. Shucking, see the guest out. Shen Qinyan's voice came from behind me. Shangyi, I'll go tomorrow. I heard that the wedding day at the princess's manor was quite chaotic. Zhou Shengquan thought he had married the girl he'd been longing for, but never expected that Rong Shuangshuang would directly tell Mother Zhou to live elsewhere. I bought your mother a house. What would it look like having someone like her living in my manor? And those poor relatives of yours. Didn't you see their faces? You can tell at a glance they're here to leech off us. I've looked into it. They kicked you and your mother out before. Yet you still want to treat them well. Zhou Shengquan's family situation was complicated. His grandparents had several sons, and after his father died, he and his mother had even lower status in the family. But the imperial examinations emphasized filial piety. And in officialdom, filial and incorruptible candidates were recommended. Our dynasty particularly valued a son's filial devotion, so I often told him not to give anyone leverage against him. No matter how bad the relationship, he had to at least maintain appearances with his former family. However, the Zhou family had always been entangling and unreasonable. Even when I became the Zhou family's mistress in my previous life, I couldn't avoid squabbling with them. Later, I thoroughly understood each person, and, to avoid making things difficult for Zhou Shengquan, I grasped what they cared about most and made them all obediently comply. Rong Shuangshuang didn't consult with Zhou Shengquan and had driven the Zhou family out before the wedding. She even arranged for Mother Zhou to stay in a garden on the outskirts. But the Zhou family wasn't easy to mess with either. A whole group of them stormed the wedding and caused a scene. She pointed at Zhou Shengquan and Rong Shuangshuang's noses, scolding them for being unfilial, making a huge scene. Now when Zhou Shengquan goes to court, people point and gossip about him. Even His Majesty reprimanded Zhao Hua, and didn't give Zhou Shengquan a pleasant look in the court either. The next day, Zhu King came to tell me joyfully. Lord Shen came to propose marriage. The betrothal gifts were a full 128 carriers, filling up the entire courtyard, so many they couldn't even fit. Not even a prince marrying a consort would have such grandeur. Zhu King spoke excitedly, even gesturing animatedly. I was somewhat surprised, raising my eyebrows. That much did he move his entire family fortune over? When I went over, Shen Qinian was already having a pleasant conversation with father and mother. He really knows how to win over elders. Usually such a serious person. Didn't expect him to talk so much today. I stood behind the screen. Father had told me before that Shen Qinian was a person of good character. My parents at home both wanted to come. But with so many people, they sent me to first inquire about uncle and auntie's opinion. Once things are settled, my father and mother will come to visit. My father laughed heartily. Although there is the saying about parents' wishes and matchmakers' arrangements, matters concerning Shangyi should still be decided by herself. If she agrees, her mother and I won't have any objections. My mother came in to ask my opinion, and I smiled and nodded. Mother was worried that you were heartbroken over Zhou Shengquan's matter. No, have you really thought this through? This Shen Qinian is not from an ordinary family. What if? My mother's face showed sadness. I comforted her. Mother, your daughter is willing, and I've thought it through. Yesterday Shen Qinian came to ask my opinion, and only today did he come to propose. Besides, he also helped me with the medical hall matter before. My mother nodded. The betrothal gifts today were so generous. You can see how much he values you. As long as you've thought it through, that is fine. He is very capable himself. So he may not necessarily inherit the Duke of Zhengguo's title in the future. When that time comes and you enter the Shen family, you'll be the mistress of the household. It is just that mother won't be able to protect you then. And also, I knew what she was worried about. A man's heart changes easily. Never mind how delighted he is with you now. Later on with 3 wives and 4 concubines. He could cast you aside. Even Zhou Shengquan, who grew up with me since childhood, was like that, let alone the eldest young master from the Duke of Zhengguo's family. Mother, I understand. After I marry into his family, he'll be my husband. I am clear about my situation. Whether he treats me with mutual respect or with exceptional love in the future. Right now he is a very good choice, and your daughter is attracted to him too. My mother felt relieved. Mother can rest easy knowing you have such an open-minded attitude. If anything happens, your father and mother will always be your support. If you are unhappy, just divorce him and come home. I laughed. Mother, I am not even married yet. When my mother went out, she said to Shen Qinian, the Wen family agrees to this marriage. Instantly, I felt Shen Qinian look in my direction, his eyes pitch black, with a slight burning warmth at the bottom. But Lord Shen, I am entrusting my daughter to you, hoping you'll treat her well. If any conflicts arise in the future, please allow her to return home. My mother's voice trembled, and even choked up a bit, and my father's eyes also reddened. I don't know if in my previous life, my parents also sent me off to be married with such a heavy heart. I took a deep breath, barely managing to steady myself, my eyes brimming with tears. I understand how you two feel. Any promise I make now doesn't count for much, and no one can say for sure what will happen in the future. But Shen Qinian suddenly knelt down. Today I came to ask for the hand of the Wen family's daughter. I admire her, so I came to propose marriage. The Shen family has never had the practice of taking 3 wives and 4 concubines. He took out a piece of cloth from his chest. This is a letter of promise written in my own hand. From now on, if Miss Wen is unsatisfied, she can divorce me at any time. The Wen family's daughter can divorce the grand tutor at any time. This was Shen Qinian's promise. He gave me the initiative, gave me the right to choose. My parents were somewhat surprised. The grand tutor was kneeling before them and had given his promise. They held that cloth, looking at it again and again. Me parents hurriedly helped Shen Qinian up, saying with a smile, "Good, good, good." In that ancient society, for the dignified grand tutor of the crown prince to kneel before his father, in-law and mother-in-law to ask for marriage, and to proactively hand over the right to divorce at any time into Xiangyi's hands. This wasn't just favoritism, this was the ultimate respect and safety net. Compared to that ex-husband Zhou Shengquan, who only knew how to make empty promises saying, "I'll protect you," then turned around and made you pave the way and compromise for him. Lord Shen's love was directly building you a fortress, and personally handing you the key. Deeply empathized with the Wen family parents' tears at the wedding send-off. This kind of good man who directly gives you full security. He deserves to win the beauty. News that Shen Qinian and I were getting married quickly spread throughout the capital. Before the wedding, cousin from the Shen family did come to find me a few times. She invited me to go shopping together and told me some things about the Shen family. Only then did I realize that although the Shen family had many members, it wasn't complicated. Sister-in-law, I thought cousin Qinian would never like anyone. You don't know, he is practically a strict teacher. Stern, merciless, and intimidating. Cousin from the Shen family and I were looking at clothes at Ting's workshop, and she complained in my ear. But he is very proper, there is no one else by his side. Actually, I should say no one can get close to him. She whispered quietly by my ear. No one dares to get close to him. I lowered my head and smiled, the corners of my lips lifting slightly. The moment I turned around, I suddenly caught sight of a familiar figure from the corner of my eye, Zhou Shengquan. He seemed to want to come forward and say something, but a person appeared in front of me. Shen Qinian stood before me, reaching out his hand to give me rouge. He said, "Bought it by the way. Cousin. Hey, can you buy me a box by the way too?" I smiled and accepted it. Did Lord Shen also walk in by the way to buy clothes? Shen Qinian raised his eyebrows. He leaned close to my ear and said, "Bought it for you by the way." His voice was low, his eyes full of lingering amusement. What a by the way. I smiled with pursed lips. He followed behind me helping carry my things. Cousin muttered. "Shen Qinian, can you stop using me as an excuse to ask people out every time?" Zhou Shengquan in the distance looked melancholic, his expression complex. He crushed the pastries in his hand that he was going to bring to Rong Shuang. The servant beside him reminded him before he snapped back to reality. Zhou Shengquan recalled how in his previous life when shopping with Wen Xiangyi, he had taken a fancy to a hairpin and put it on her. And when Xiangyi had smiled at him just like that, I didn't expect Zhou Shengquan would come to see me before my wedding. At that time, Shen Qinyan tapped on my window, bringing me a bouquet of extremely beautiful flowers. In the dark night, he walked through the cold dew just like that, standing by my window, only to bring me a bouquet of freshly bloomed flowers. I missed you, Shangyi. I laughed at him for being hopeless. Lord Shen, where is your seriousness? How come you are so childish now? Shen Qinyan leaned his face against the window, and we talked through it. We're about to get married. I am so happy. I responded to him and asked, have you been drinking? I drank a little. A little? How much is a little? Shen Qinyan, you are drunk. You need to go home now, understand? I am home. You are at my house. What do you mean you are home? Shangyi, wherever you are, is my home. I paused. Shen Qinyan had been drinking. Is he always this clingy? Saying anything and everything. The side of my face felt hot. The candles burning indoors flickered, casting somewhat flustered and bewildered shadows. Lord Shen, it is very cold. Please go back, or else I'll have someone prepare a room for you. He didn't respond. After a long while, I finally heard Shen Qinyan's voice. Shangyi, we're about to get married, can you? Be a bit more affectionate with me. What do you mean affectionate? He became embarrassed. Like, how you address me. An affectionate way to address him. To be honest, I am not some inexperienced little girl anymore. But in my past life, my experience with romance seemed pitifully little too. With Zhou Shengquan, he only called him Zhou Shengquan. Zhou Shengquan? He never said anything about it either. He and I were used to this way of interacting. So used to it that I didn't realize this wasn't love. It was habit. A strange yet warm feeling suddenly surged in my chest, making my heart race. My head felt a bit foggy, all because of Shen Qinyan. He gets too clingy when he drinks. I blurted out. Hurry back now, hubby, the moment the words left my mouth. I froze. Let alone Shen Qinyan outside. He laughed softly, then said, Shangyi, I am not drunk. I hold my liquor very well. Stop talking. I don't want to know. Shangyi, I am heading back now. Wait for me to come marry you. My face flushed red. So embarrassed. But before long I heard the sound of tapping on the window again. I was instantly annoyed and flung the window open. You haven't left yet. Shangyi, it is me. Seeing who it was, I immediately lowered the window, my voice turning cold. What are you doing here, Shangyi? Samani like Shen Qinyan will never truly treat you well. Don't marry him, okay? I sneered. What right do you have to meddle in my business, Zhou Shengquan? Who do you think you are to me? Zhou Shengquan lowered his head. You are right. I have no right to meddle. But I really am worried about you. I am afraid you'll get hurt. Zhou Shengquan, what makes you think you are doing this for my own good? You are the one who brings me harm. The farther you stay from me, the safer I'll be. Don't you get it? All you bring me is disaster. Because you are weak and incompetent, I got bullied by the princess. Because you only think of yourself, I got bullied by your family. Because you are selfish, I got bullied by you. Zhou Shengquan all. You've brought me as pouring rain yet. You never hold an umbrella for me. You even made me endure it. When I said this, my tone was very calm. But this was exactly what I had truly experienced in my last life. I slowly let out a breath and said, Zhou Shengquan, you've long forgotten what you were studying for the imperial exams for. All you think about is social climbing. All you remember is your path to success. You've forgotten your heart. In my previous life, Zhou Shengquan's mind was full of nothing but his path to success, his official career, his damned scheming and political calculations. He had completely forgotten that the Zhou Shengquan of the beginning only wanted to give his mother a better life, wanted to be worthy of me. Zhou Shengquan stood by the window, this windowsill that he couldn't even reach when he was little. Now already higher than half his body. He glanced at the vibrantly blooming flower in my hand, remembering how as a child when he saw pretty flowers by the roadside, He would also bring them to me, deliver them to my window. Those flowers were planted in soil by me to nurture, made into garlands by me, by me. I watched a teardrop fall from the corner of his eye, and I slowly said, "Zhou Shengquan, leave, stay far away from me. Let's not make this too ugly." On the day of my wedding, Zhou Shengquan sent a lavish gift. He stood among the guests, watching as I was led inside by Shen Qinian, walking into the back courtyard. He watched for a long while before leaving. I sat in the room, and someone brought me food. Through my veil, he ate some things. Not long after eating, somebody pushed the door open and came in. Shen Qinian carefully lifted my veil and pulled me over to sit beside him. We drank the nuptial wine together. The hand holding his wine cup trembled slightly, his cheeks flushed red. I asked, "Shen Qinian, are you drunk?" Shen Qinian chuckled softly. "Wife, whether I am drunk or not, you can tell by looking at my eyes." His gaze was clear and gentle, clearly not drunk, yet more passionate than someone who was. He removed my hair ornaments one by one. His movements extremely light and slow, as if handling the most precious treasure in the world. That night the candlelight flickered. The bed curtains hung low. He whispered in my ear, "Shangyi, for the rest of my life, it is all you." My eyes grew warm, and I nodded. Waking early in the morning, sunlight filtered through the window gauze, sprinkling golden powder throughout the room. Shen Qinian held my waist, refusing to let go. His lips pressed against my forehead, like a big cat reluctant to leave its nest. I squinted, wanting to get up, but my whole body felt lazy and languid. I only felt that time was gentle at this moment, and couldn't bear to break it. He groggily called to me, "Shangyi, stay a bit longer." I smiled and patted the back of his hand. "Lord Shen, it is time to get up." He mumbled and nuzzled against me again, like a child throwing a tantrum. Only then did I realize that the usually stern and dignified Grand Tutor Shen, who commanded fear among all the court officials, was actually this clingy in private. I couldn't help but reach out and ruffle his hair, and he smiled, the smile spreading from the corners of his lips to his brows. "My lady, it is all my fault for making you rest too late last night. Good that you know. Next time I'll definitely try to make it earlier." When he said the word "streetu," there was clearly a hint of mischief in his eyes. I raised my hand and lightly pinched him. "Bastard." A laughing voice came from beside my ear. "Yes, I am. I am a bastard. You don't need to go serve tea to father and mother right away. I had someone inform them. You can go in the afternoon." I felt a bit embarrassed. That is not proper. "It is fine. My family doesn't have that many rules. They all really like you. Even if anyone's blamed, it'll only be me. Shangyi, I feel very fortunate to have married you." These suddenly solemn words left me a bit dazed, and the next second I was pulled into his embrace. I looked at him in surprise as he lowered his head and placed a gentle kiss on my forehead. "From now on, we'll take our days slowly together." The day of returning home was when I was happiest. I could finally go home and see my parents. Shen Qinian was usually a workaholic, but for this marriage he used up all the vacation days he'd accumulated. Only then did I learn he had requested a very long marriage leave from His Majesty in advance. Sitting in the carriage heading home, I looked at him with feigned reproach, premeditated all along. Me mother was very happy to see me. "You've become much more lively after getting married. It seems the Shen family is treating you well." She smiled as she looked over my rosy complexion. "Looks like the Shen family is taking good care of you. Who knows, I might have a grandchild soon." "Mother, don't tease me." My mother chuckled and patted my hand. I felt like fate was suddenly showing me favor. I still went to the clinic to treat patients, and Shen Qinian was still a workaholic. Sometimes he'd be sent away on business trips. Before leaving, he'd always cling to me extra, reminding me of 1,000 things, saying he couldn't bear to leave. Yet his feet moved faster than anyone's. He often said what he missed most when away on business was home. And the first thing he did upon returning wasn't checking official documents, but checking if I was there. I laughed at him for becoming more and more improper. Now, back to when he was home. Who knew Lord Shen was actually someone who didn't want to go to work? Every time he had morning court, he'd act spoiled lying in bed holding my hand and refusing to let go. Don't want to go to morning court. Lord Shen, you are so clingy. He dawdled in bed for a while before finally getting up, covering me with the blanket before leaving. If it was winter, he'd hurry back after morning court, warm himself up indoors, and if I wasn't up yet, he'd climb back into bed. When others asked why Lord Shen was in such a hurry, he'd smile and say his wife missed him and was eager for him to come home. Hearing these words, I remained silent. Clearly, it was him who wanted to come back. Yet he put the blame on me. One day, I suddenly felt unwell, and after checking my pulse, I found out I was pregnant. Me parents rushed over in a panic to see me, while I hadn't yet reacted to it. The Duke Zhengguo's manner was also very anxious, carefully preparing my daily meals. Shen Qinian was even more exaggerated. During my first few months, he actually developed pregnancy symptoms. He threw up every single day and asked His Majesty for leave. Even His Majesty was somewhat speechless. When I reached 5 or 6 months, he finally got better. During pregnancy, my feet swelled, and he would remember to massage them every night. At night, I would involuntarily get cramps, and he would also wake up startled to massage them back for me. Seeing all the various difficult symptoms I experienced from pregnancy, he was so heartbroken that his eyes reddened. In the later stage of pregnancy, I stopped going out. I only heard that Zhou Shengquan actually requested to go to a small county in the south, saying he wanted to go to an impoverished remote area to benefit the common people. After a big fight with Rong Shuangshuang, he still went. Before departing, he did arrange for Mother Zhou properly, and even sent me a letter. I didn't open that letter to read it, as Shen Qinian was already unbearably jealous. I smiled and ultimately didn't open it to read. 3 months later, I gave birth to a son. The day of delivery wasn't as difficult as in my previous life, but Shen Qinian was extremely nervous. Without my knowledge, he went to Hanshan Temple late at night to pray for a safety talisman for me, only asking for mother and child to be safe. A few years later, I gave birth to a daughter, which was my wish. After I gave birth to our daughter, Shen Qinian said he didn't want me to suffer anymore. 2 children were enough, and from then on he only wanted to stay by our side. Many years later, I looked at the peach tree by the clinic, still covered in fluttering peach blossoms. Shen Qinian said we'd pick peaches to eat when summer came. The pair of children beside me cheerfully said yes. Oh right, Juking also got married. It was actually to Shen Tianshu. Wow. Finished reading it in one go. What is most touching in this story isn't actually the romance line, but every appearance of the Wen family parents. Daughter's engagement broken off. Dad stands firm to intimidate, mom stands firm to scold, little brother stands firm to argue. Daughter being slandered, the whole family mobilizes and takes it straight to the authorities. Daughter wants to remarry? Mom says through tears, whatever happens, your parents will always have your back. If you are unhappy, just divorce him and come home. The weight of those words is heavier than any sweet nothings. Compare that to Zhou Shengquan's side. His mother tried desperately to dissuade him to no avail. His family only dragged him down and caused trouble. While the Wen family wasn't some prestigious household, from beginning to end they were one word, solid. They gave Shangyi the most precious thing, an unconditional way out. It was precisely because she knew she always had a home to return to that Shangyi, could be composed enough and resolute enough when facing any choice. The confidence to venture out on your own often doesn't come from how bright the road ahead is, but from having someone behind you to catch you. If you happen to have family like this, please cherish them. If you don't have that right now, then work hard to become your own safety net, because you can also be your own strongest support. Now that the main story has come to a perfect ending, let's do a little interactive poll as usual. What do you think was the most crucial reason when Shangyi ultimately chose Shen Qinian? Shen Qinian treated her sincerely, giving her a full sense of security and respect, BC completely gave up on Zhou Shengquan and wanted to start a brand new life. Si Shen Qinian is highly capable and can protect her and the Wen family. Diwas moved by Shen Qinian's persistence and straightforward affection.